Good evening. Bonsoir. And it's a good evening. I have become an innovation strategist. Innovation is what I do, it's what I'm for. L'innovation, c'est ce que je fais. J'y suis pour. But remember, when we were children, people used to ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now that we are grown-ups and we go to cocktail parties, people very rarely ask us, what have you become? My son Henry's Italian godfather, the Milanese, not the soprano variety, asked him when he was 4, Henry, what do you want to be when you grow up? Offering the usual macho variety of options from doctor to fireman. Henry's answer was perfectly precise. Je souhaite devenir un fabricant de nuages. I want to be a cloud maker. I didn't see that coming. We pressed him for more detail. According to Henry, 3 women and 2 men operate the cloud-making machine. They wear shiny black Wellington boots and crisply starched white hats. During the night, they gather up all the leftover, soft, white things from the day. Feathers, cotton wool balls, tissues, flour, and they load them into the cloud machine. And then, at the first glimmer of dawn, they click the switch and the clouds are released. Henry specified that he was going to be one of the 2 men. Now, I had rather assumed that to be the case. But over the years, I've come not to make assumptions about my children and their futures. I look at clouds from both sides now. So, I'm an innovator, and naturally, Ted would like me to come and talk to you about the strategic dynamics of innovation, particularly the optimization of human capital in change management paradigms. And I know there was quite a buzz about this out there before. But here's the thing, and I am sorry, but look, I've been flying through some turbulence, some dark clouds in my marriage lately, so if you don't mind, I'd just rather like to talk about love. You see, he just called me, 2 minutes ago, right when I was supposed to be coming up here on stage to talk to you, and he calls me to ask me where his golf clubs are, the ones I'm not supposed to touch. I don't know. I don't care. He drives me crazy after all these years. 3 decades ago, he used to drive me crazy then too, but it was rather different. Vous vous souvenez what it's like? And if you don't remember, imagine how it feels during that first intoxicating phase of falling in love. I never tired of looking at him, even asleep. I never tired of listening to him. He was never boring. All we wanted was to touch and be in touch all the time. Connected. I remember when he had to get up and go to work in the morning. That horrible moment of separation, of sensory disintegration, and a horrible clinging and lingering memory of his touch that didn't last long enough. I would lie there on full sensory alert. Footfalls on the parquet, the jerk of the shower, the creak of the jaw. Socks now, stepping into shoes. Oh no, he's nearly going. And we would meander into conversations about the day, and what we would do together when he came home. Which brings me to strategic innovation in large multinational corporations. Large corporations, on the whole, tend not to fall in love, although we tend to fall in love with them as investors, as suppliers, as employees, as consumers. Corporations might say, what's love got to do with it? But in those heady moments of great financial success, our customers adore us, our results feel fabulous, we're in touch with the marketplace. Feels like love. And so it's a paradox, isn't it, that in that moment of absolute sensory satisfaction, when they're on full sensory alert to this joyous success, in that moment, that very sensory surfeit of success creates a disconnect, a sensory inability to be aware of the faint signals of disruption and change. The clunk of the car door following that final click of the suitcase. When my friend Maureen's husband left her, he left her surprised. She didn't see it coming, she said. It's the same with organizations. We don't see it coming until it's too late, until there's been the snap of the last switch and the clunk of the closing factory doors. We forget to remain on full sensory alert, the full sensory alert that seems to infuse us somehow in that first phase of love. What happens? How do we let it go? When my husband left in the morning, I remember feeling that full sensory loss, that sense of absence in the silence. And there on the floor would be his T-shirt. I'd bend down and pick it up, still warm. Then you know what I would do with it? Yeah? Smell it. Smother me. 20 months or 20 years later, you'd pick it up again and say, what exactly is it about the laundry basket that you don't understand? Which brings me to my local dry cleaner. Now, my local dry cleaner is a small to middle market entrepreneur, family-owned business, so naturally innovation is as relevant to them as the other businesses with whom I talk. They sport this marvelous sign in their window, blue and white, and it says, "Choose us. We are professional, friendly, and alert." Alert. That took me by surprise. I was walking past with my husband. I said, "Oh, look, laundry alert." He didn't notice. But what would it feel like? What would it feel like if we could take our full selves, our sensorily engaged selves, our connected selves, with us to our life's work and through our life's work? What would that feel like to take the empathetic, connected, laundry-strewing, T-shirt-sniffing you into the office Now, obviously, as a lawyer, I'm not suggesting that you sniff your colleagues. That would cloud my judgment. And many of you, I can see clearly, already do take your full self into work. But not all of us have either that permission or power. And what would it look like? I believe that would unleash the potent innovation that exists in this community, in all our communities. I think it would be like spending your working life at a TED event. Why do I say that? Alert! We would be attending, just as we've been attending today, with such focus, with such concentration. We would be learning through listening. We would be E for engaged and enthused and energetic. And we'd be R for responsive and reactive. And most of all, we'd be T for transcendent. Because if that was the way we worked, if that were the way we collaborated together as people, we would be creating tomorrow and the promise of tomorrow, today and every day. Full sensory alert. Now, I believe that the permission that's most important to release the possibility of a new design, a new way of working, comes from allowing curiosity and creativity to meet experience and expertise. You see, my little boy Henry, he started out with a completely empty bag of knowledge and experience, but he designed a wonderful idea for a little business, for his job, for what he was going to do. Sustainable, good for the environment, great long-term prospects, fabulous. And all he had was curiosity and creativity. With curiosity and creativity and courage, you can become a cloud maker. You can change the world. Of course, we all change the world every day. It's just a question of how much and how well. Clouds change the world, but on the whole, clouds are not curious. Like my son George. George changes the world, but George isn't curious. George has never known creativity these past 13 years. When George was almost 3, he was brain damaged in a way that stole from him that possibility to imagine and create and play. Among the diagnoses, sensory disintegration disorder. So little George stopped being able to make sense of what he heard, stopped being able to speak. After a while, his ability to process visually disappeared also, and then smell and taste became obscenely and aggressively distorted, and finally touch, so that even a gentle caress would be distressingly painful for him. Full sensory disintegration. What's love got to do with that? And my son Henry said, "He's not my brother. They are holding my brother prisoner in a dungeon at the hospital, Mummy. Je t'en supplie. Why won't you rescue him?" And what's love got to do with it when you can't fix it? And who needs a heart when a heart can be broken? And is it like falling in love? Because you don't know who that little boy is, because he isn't the baby that you lived with for the first 2.5 years of his life. Now, of course, Henry came around pretty quickly. And I know that you would too, because I know that you know my George, or someone like my George, or a story like George's, because there is nobody here that hasn't been connected with loss. When we connect with love, it becomes part of the narrative, and then you realize, this isn't about falling in love now. This is about writing this love story forward. Now I know what innovation means. Now I know what je suis pour. Why je suis pour? Because the real challenge of innovation is working on the problem that doesn't have a perfect solution. It's the journey of working on it. Now, not as long as Jean's journey, but a journey, and a long and a tough one at that. So we've been on ours now for 14 years. No one's going to ask George, what do you want to do when you grow up? But if you look at him now, 16 years old, able to ride a horse rather well, able to ski down a ski slope rather frighteningly fast, you would see a boy who has reconnected, who has risen to enormous challenges, and in doing so, he has reconnected me. And connected me with stories and with people that otherwise I would never have had the joy to know. Now, as a mother, of course, George still can't speak. There are many challenges of comprehension in his life, but something miraculous happened this Christmas. George has never known what Christmas is. He's never had the anticipation or the imagination to engage in that childhood story of Santa Claus. This year, for the first time, on Christmas Eve, entirely unexpectedly, he said, "Tomorrow, Christmas." And he even told us what he wanted from Santa Claus for Christmas. Play-Doh and Hercules DVD. So I said to Santa Claus, who'd been out of business for 14 years, would you pick that T-shirt up off the floor in the bedroom and go to the store and pay whatever it takes to bring my son his first Christmas? Je vous remercie.